So right now, what I want to do is I want to take this time and say that I am Joseph Whitnick, and I'm here with my beautiful, beautiful friend slash sister from another mother, Chris Sorby. And her and I together have felt it was time to create this platform, which is iConixxx. And iConixxx on a weekly basis, so continue to check in, tell your friends, is a regular Zoom room where you can come in and actually hear history in the making, or you'll meet an icon that has done something in our industry that you maybe are doing now, well, maybe not now, but you know, when you're in the salon. And I think it's really important. So write down any questions that you may want to ask. I'm going to throw this over to my friend Chris right now, but before I do that, I want to say that I am literally so amazed that we have Beth Minardi in the Zoom room, and you are going to so enjoy what she has to share with us as we talk casually for all of you. So, and students, just beware. She speaks a nice, smooth, but sharp tongue, and I love it. So, Chris, what do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say a huge welcome and a thank you to Beth for being with us. We're very, very proud that you agreed to come on our program. So with that said, you know, we've known each other many years, but there's things I'm going to ask you that I just want to know more about you. So my first question to you is going to be, which living person do you most admire and why?
Oh my goodness. Well, not in the industry, but well, I'll tell you that too. But in this world, I think it's a tie between my daughter, Krista, and my mom for very different reasons.
Wow.
Okay, why?
My mom, optimistic, loaded with taste. She's the kind of person who said never wear white shoes until after Memorial Day. Amazing taste level, lover of art. My daughter, smarter than I could ever be, brave, educated, loves what she does. And I guess she inherited from me the love of being successful and committed to what we do. And of course, you know, there's so many people in our industry who I adore. And I have to say, you know, the list is big, but I would say in the crux of things, living people, my mom, my daughter.
Wow. Are you curious? Is your daughter a hairstylist?
Doesn't want anything to do with it. Grew up and she said, Mom, when she was in kindergarten, she said, Mom, I think Miss Clodeau needs more gold in her formula. I loved it. And when my daughter was at the university in Kenyon, Ohio, she would say she started a hair coloring service. You could get a haircut for $10 or highlights for $10. So this guy came to her and said, I want a haircut, but I don't have $10. And she said, well, come back when you have $10. I mean, so, and they put it in the school paper. So yeah, pretty special. She's a general manager at a very upscale retail business. And like all of us right now, she's going through the pandemic in New York, but she's a pretty amazing leader. She learned to be a leader, and so I'm proud of her.
Wow. I can't, Chris, I have to just push you aside for just a second because I'm dying. Because you know what? The majority of the people in the room right now have done some form of color. And you know what? I don't have an embarrassing moment with you. But when we were both young in Chicago and you did this elaborate, stunning show with models that were just like, oh my God, I didn't know this was what I was going to get graduating from a hair school, being able to work with you. It was the most amazing moment in my life. And I want you to know it was around the time that you were instrumental with Redken
Yes.
and you were working on developing something that was color related. Can you just share with everyone right now that's listening what you
Yes, I'm happy to. You know, I started my career at Clairol, where I became director of education and helped create a line of color called iConixxx. And I was so fortunate to work with major chemists. And it came to be a time was a consultant later for Clairol and opened a salon with my former husband, Carmine, here in Manhattan. And I got a call from a lovely gentleman who said the following: "Hi, my name is Jim. L'Oreal has just purchased Redken. We'd like to meet with you." And I felt a little ambivalent, but I thought, wow, okay, well, let's see, because I think iConixxx was a very good line. It was my heart and soul.
Yeah,
But I
what?
saw the political back and forth with it. I didn't know what they were going to do. And I went to meet Jim Morrison. He and I met for about 90 minutes. He told me about Charlotte Riddell, Dr. David Canal, Kristen Farrell, and of course, Ann Mincy and PR, who I'd known, and Bill Peplow. But I said, okay, what do you want to do, Jim? What do you really want to do? He said, I've got to turn Redken into a hair color company. And he wanted me to first work with Dr. Canal and in the labs, and not just recreate, oh, I like this brand. No, elevate, change hair color to what I continue to do today, to an art form. And I have to say, during my time at Redken, he never, ever refused a phone call, didn't get back to me, didn't respond to my emails. And I worked here in New York, and I worked in the New Jersey lab with Mara, and I went to Paris with several of the chemists, Dr. Canal, and with Charlotte Riddell to work on color fusion, which was about a year and a half in the making, with lots of salon testing. Because, you know, Joseph, once you test a product in a test salon, I mean, these women who get their hair done for free after the product has been tested on yak hair and for lift and tone on swatches, people who have their hair done for free will say, I love it, well, okay. But you need to see, what was the expected deposit? What was the expected lift? What's the level of alkalinity? How would I refresh these ends with Shades EQ or another liquid demi? Where are we? And
Beth, I love
yeah.
you. I'm going to pause you because I want you to there you are. I want to see that much of you.
Okay.
Because you're beautiful. I'm sorry, I didn't want to bother you, but go ahead.
So I think they heard me with what it is to correctly test hair color. And the leadership at Redken Joico with Jim and with Scott Mazan said, look, we are launching this. Do not just take your time, which I didn't, but do this correctly, so that we have not only a big sell in, but a sell through and a continued sales of something very, very amazing. So we did it.
Oh my God, I applaud you. And I applaud, and just so everyone there knows, for those of you that use Color Fusion, write your questions down, because at the end of this, the last 10 minutes, you get a Q&A with Beth, which is priceless. So I'm so glad that you said that, and I know that I could go on by saying what you taught me was how to fill. My biggest thing was that, like what you taught me working with you that weekend, you taught me about shades and filling with, bonfire or papaya. And I mean, it was like, oh my God, it made so much sense. But, to make a blonde that color, to take them to brown was kind of freakish.
Well, I think when I was trained first in the, and I heard, Clairol had this history from the 1940s and everything. And Wella and other companies and L'Oreal, what people needed to do during that time period. It's like years ago, if we wanted to go to California, we had to take a wagon train. We might make it, we might die, but that we don't need to do that anymore. But there are still people who sadly think they need to do that. When we only wish to deepen hair, and remember, even black permanent hair dye has a lifting action, a little lift and a bunch of deposit. So, and it's alkaline. Why would I, if I had a blonde who wanted to be a deeper blonde or a redhead or a brunette, why would I use anything if I'm deepening her? Why would I use anything that had the ability to lift and necessarily was alkaline? So staining the hair back means if I'm at a very light blonde situation, I have to say what was removed from the hair in order for me to go brunette or brown. And you realize that as we bleach hair, it turns golden, it turns an orange gold, and then a gold, and then yellow and pale yellow. You have removed those necessary building blocks from the hair. So when doing a tint back service, and somebody wants to be brunette or brown or lightest brunette, we have to first replace the missing building blocks, which are golden orange, or at darker levels, orange gold. Yeah, to be a brunette, that blonde has to transition to a redhead and then to a brunette. She'll be gray. When I watch a movie today and I see I can look at it. I'm looking at an actor, an actress, an actor who was blonde and who they tinted back to brown, and it looks like baby poo-poo crap green because they just put a brown color on it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Beth, I'm going to ask you, do you think that you studying fine arts had a huge, was a huge asset to you to then understand color?
Oh, that's a great question, Chris. Thank you. I did study fine arts. My aunt, Julia, was a painter. And when I was in my teens with my cousin Debbie, we'd go to Sarasota, Florida, beautiful place. And the big draw was she would teach us art in the daytime. And at night we could sit and eat food in the living room and watch TV. This was okay. But she was wonderful. So she had a palette, and she'd have a palette knife, and she'd put white, black, blue, yellow, and red in different spots. She'd say, Beth, put a little blue in the middle of that palette. Now I want you to add a drop of yellow and mix it. Green. So we did that, blue and red, blue and white, black and white. Okay. Now, people think that's the sad thing about this. It's great. Oh my gosh. Yes, it was wonderful. Plus she had such amazing taste. And that's what I hope to impart with people, of a feeling of taste. And then people get upset, but it's taste. But when we're working with color, before that, we have to consider the contribution of the pigment that's in the hair. Mm-hmm. If I have dark brown hair and I just put blue in it, not much of a result. Put red in it, we know that hair has levels, natural hair, and at different levels, tones either say, make me that tone, or I reject that tone. But the short answer to your wonderful question, Chris, is yeah, it really helped. Love her. You know, when she died, she was painting, and they found her with a geranium pot on her top on her chest. Amazing woman. Yeah.
Oh.
She went to heaven doing something she loved.
Yeah.
Like Coco Chanel. Coco Chanel died cutting out a dress.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That goes back to what you were saying about doing something that you're passionate about. And as hairdressers, boy, do we have passion.
We do. And what frightens me is I know there are a lot of young or new colorists, new cutters, new designers out there who might not have you or Joseph or I in front of them. And they might think this is just a job that I'll do until I can get another job. You you are a sculptor and a painter, Chris, as is Joseph. I'm a painter, and I can sculpt shape into hair with color, dark to light, dark to mid, and there's a lot of education out there right now. There's some good education, and there's some very bad guidance of people saying things, whether I like it or not, there is gravity. Whether I like it or not, there is oxygen. Whether I like it or not, there are color theories. Forget brown. If somebody's brown and you try to lighten them, they'll probably turn red first. That's a fact. That's fact.
Yeah.
People think, so it's such a flashback. In the 1930s and 40s, when Hollywood wanted to make Judy Garland a redhead in The Wizard of Oz, there was no red hair dye. Mm-hmm. They had to first bleach her hair to gold and then put on a straight red fabric dye, direct dye, because there was no, but now what's returned is young colorists learning to bleach hair using whatever bonder they wish, take it to white, and then put on blue or green or pink or orange or teal. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but if they have a woman who comes in who is a very beautiful woman who has medium brown hair with gray and wants to be a brunette with no gray, that doesn't need pre-bleaching. That needs the brain. And some people think, well, it is not true that if you have a light brown color and put it on anybody, they're going to turn light brown. That is what the consumer thinks.
Crazy.
Yeah. I'm kind of scared. And I realize that Joseph, you and the wonderful Chris and Ruth Roche and David Stanko and so many of us grew up in almost a golden age of hairdressing.
Yes.
And what scares me is, I hate this number and I hope it's false. I am told that 70% of young hair professionals, when they're told the name Vidal Sassoon, they don't know that was a person. They think that's a school or an appliance.
All right, this is where I'm going to say, okay, anyone in the chat room, do you know, give me a Y for yes, if you know who Vidal Sassoon was.
Oh, dear God. I'm getting some yeses.
Good. Yes, that's what we want.
And
and on that note, Beth, do you think it's important for us as young stylists or students to have an awareness of who did what historically in our industry?
I do. And you know what? Knowing this and obtaining this knowledge does not have to be painful. In fact, it can be a lot of fun. But it's who does there are teachers I had in college and in high school, and I started to go to graduate school when I started beauty school. There were professors who just made you feel it. And there were others who just read the facts, just the facts, man, just the facts. So I do think it's important, because if we lose our history, we lose our present and we lose our future. That's what scares me. And when they say, I love social media to a point. I don't like it when there's an influencer, and I've known couple who've never, ever had a salon business, but they're influencers and they're teaching. And when I watch them teach, I worry. I do worry, honey. And I'm not trying to be old fashioned. At my heart, I'm a kid, and I know what it's like to be young and want guidance and fun. And, look, whether I like it or not, there's gravity. To lighten hair, something has to be alkaline. Now, forget non-ammonia. There are different alkalizers, but that's a fact. Now, in the future, it might be different. You can keep everything acid and lighten it. I don't think so, not yet. And when people prefer to ignore that, it's tough, Chris. It's tough, Joseph. Yeah, it's tough to all my little users and all my little friends out there. I started a couple of years ago a new thing. I decided I don't care if you're 12 21, 91, I don't care. I started this Facebook group called Conversations with Colorists. And I have people from even Dubai, Tokyo, India, and all over, and they just want to talk about color. And it's always great when a student tunes in and says, you know, I'm talking, and I think Chris and Joseph and I discussed this. I'm working with young people now here in New York who at beauty school never touched a human being. It was only mannequins. Yeah. And so,
even though I sell mannequin heads, I think it's very, very sad because they're all the same color. They've all had the same treatment to make them the same color. So how much can you actually learn? It's okay to learn application, but when it comes to learning and understanding hair color, there's just no way.
You're absolutely right, because a lot of these mannequins have either been, you know, bleached and then colored with a synthetic dye, yep, or they've been exposed to formaldehyde. The hair color that I get from a wonderful company called International Hair Point, and Chris, we use these swatches at Redken, at Clairol, at Wella, at Joico, everybody. They have been exposed to ultraviolet light, but they act as virgin human hair. So a lot of young people are learning how to use bleach, because if you're working on a mannequin, bleach can only do one thing: lighten hair. So whether they get it to come up to an orangey brown, an orange, a gold, or a yellow, they'll go, wow, this is great. But the subtlety of learning how to use permanent color, demi-creams, demi-liquids, and, you know, whether they like it or not, when they get into a salon, the biggest service is still gray coverage or enhancement, and the second is highlighting. Yeah. So, yes, yeah, people, yeah, but learning doesn't have to hurt. When I teach, because I was a teacher of 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds before I got into this business.
Come on.
Yeah, my degree's in early child education and theater. And when I taught 4- and 5-year-olds, the same behavioral objectives to train an adult. Like if somebody wanted to train me how to be better on the internet, they would have to have a lesson plan and say at the end of the lesson, Beth will understand this, this, and this. Now, when you're teaching a hair colorist, at the end of this period, they'll understand cuticle, cortex, medulla, penetration, non-penetration, oxidation, lift and deposit. I mean, it's not, okay, now everybody, okay, let's just balayage a wig that's dark brown and then put a green fabric dye on top of it. Wow, that's fun. But what they don't realize when you work on a human being, in 3 or 4 weeks, that hair's no longer going to be green. It will have grown. What you bleached prior might be in a hell of a, you know, it's like spaghetti when wet, Brillo when dry. Looks like shit. And and no, I better not say what it's going to say.
No,
at any rate, say
it.
If a gorgeous and people are going to get mad, but I love you. Here's how it is. A gorgeous actor has pre-lightened, and I've done her, has pre-lightened her hair to pale yellow, and he put hot pink shots in it. Forgive me for saying this. Gorgeous, slender, long neck, perfect skin, strong cheekbones, no acne, no issues, beautiful, and under a certain age. Now, go to any hair show and see a person who is not that, wearing magenta hair with spray that looks like sparkles. It looks like shit. And it does nothing to, here's the reason, aside from my daughter, the reason God put me on earth was to try to elevate hair color to an art form.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So it's like Chris would not buzz a person's head if they had a very loose jaw, hooded eyelids, and acne.
Why not?
Why not? She's the boss. She's the client. She wants that. But go to any airport in the United States and just sit there and look at people going by.
I know. I have so many photos.
And
I took photos and then I stopped because I didn't want to be sued. But I thought, and then there's a new thing. What is beauty? So there are people who think no matter what you look like, you are beautiful, and I honor their desire to elevate and to maintain a positive self-image. The first thing I was taught when I taught children is make them have a good self-image. If they ever say something right, say, Bobby, that was great. Mm-hmm. If they're not reading well, but they did a beautiful picture of an apple, Cheryl, what a beautiful picture. You have to elevate. But let's face it, if somebody puts on an outfit and they're a size 12 and the outfit is size 6, as friends, are we going to say that's beautiful? Maybe, you know what? I might be a bad person. Maybe we should.
I love it. I love it.
And why are they all in tight leggings?
Because it's called moving right along. Forget about it. The tight leggings don't hurt. Put a big muumuu top on top and everything will be fine. No, here's what scares me. I worry about young, new people in the business who might be an independent contractor, which can be a good thing, but they squeeze people in, and then there's the stress of not being able to correctly accommodate. They don't eat a good diet because they get the fastest thing they can at a fast food place. They might be the parent of 1, 2, or 3 children. They might be a single parent. They might still be counting on their parents to watch the children. And their anger or their sadness or their fear becomes directed not toward the client in person, but toward our business. I can't make any money. I hate these clients. There's the lady who's next door to me. If my hair color is $42, hers is $37. I have no camaraderie. I'm alone. I'm exhausted. Let me pull into a pizza place and get that or some ice cream. I'm ready to drop over. I have 3 children at home waiting for me. Dear God, help me. And I applaud the strength of all these people. However, they're what we call a survival mode.
Yeah.
When you are in survival mode, you can't be as creative, warm, engaging, and doing that thing I call creating an experience.
Man, I'm glad I got that in record. Damn, girl, what you just said it's just it. I'm so glad you said that. It's the truth. It is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thanks.
as one that has dressed many people, I understand exactly what you mean. I mean, when I would share with women, what don't you like? I've never really liked that mid area. Well, then why are you wearing horizontal stripes? And what designer would have created horizontal stripes on a size 22? No offense, but it's like, what the hell?
Somebody who wanted to make money and does not understand line, color, fit. Just like in hair, it's line, texture, color, fit. Kendra's a great person, and she and I have done a few things. And I'm saying we have to, when we're in a salon, we should first cut the hair and then color the cut. Mm-hmm. So people have said to me, well, if I do that, I might have to bring her back to the sink an extra time.
Oh, shit.
Well, but it is, oh shit, but here's the thing. Oh God. Here's what I'd like to do. And I love working with you guys, and I've been delighted to know Chris for a long time. And Joseph, I remember you in the back rooms at Redken. I have my own brand of color, as you guys know. But right now, it's not talking just, it's not, yes, I talk about the brand. However, there's a reality and a passion for what we do. My God, if you say to me, I went to beauty school because everybody was told me I was too stupid and I needed to go to beauty school, that's the wrong reason. The reason I think most people might enjoy beauty is, of course, they know it can be a wonderful career. But do you like meeting that person? Do you like quietly observing what that person is wearing, their handbag, their shoes, their skin, their hair, their personality? If somebody starts talking about their kids right away, it's not the same person who's talking about going to the country club this weekend. If someone's talking about their private jet, and the trouble they're having, it's not the same as the person who has a husband who's working hard, working at home, and maybe upset that she hasn't been able to have a child yet. But when we get behind that chair, we're on stage. Nobody, unless they're your pal and they've been with you for years, they really want to talk. When they say, how was your vacation, as my friend Linda says, when they say, how was your vacation, they want you to ask how their vacation was. And if you do not listen to those prompts, it can be pretty lousy. People come to you not only for your technical skill, your desire to please, your talent, but also for your ability to create an experience. And that's what the people coloring their hair at home during the pandemic, the people going to Madison Reed or e-color, they can put on their own retouch. But nobody, unless they're from another planet or another galaxy, can see the back of their head as well as they see the front. If their husband does it, he's not a hair colorist. The choisi, the curated situation of evenly and correctly parting that hair into 1/8 of an inch sections, applying, making sure you cross-checked that every hair was colored, the hair at the nape, the hair behind the ears, the correct formulation, the level, the tone, addressing the current level and tone of her hair, and knowing that the hair shaft is not the same as those roots. They can't do that.
You know what? Everything that you're saying is golden, and my mind is thinking like, oh, Beth, you better look out. I'm coming after you now, and we're going to do something even bigger.
Come after me.
But I want to share something with you. For those that are listening, I know you've worked on some celebrities, and I know that when you work on celebrities that Chris has, and I've had the opportunity as well, that you can't talk about it. But there are no celebrities that you've worked on in the room. And who is the celebrity that you worked on that you really found that you loved working on the most?
Evan Rachel Wood, Brad Pitt, Rene Russo.
Love that.
A couple others, and some that, were just, Julianne Moore, love her. Uma Thurman. But there've been a lot of others.
I know.
And,
I know.
But, people who think celebrities, A, aren't always on time. B, when you're working on them, you cannot work on anyone else. And C, if they're on a film, they are not the boss. The director of the film is the boss. So they might say they want something, but that AP, that assistant director, comes in and says, nope. Also, Tom Hanks is one of the most wonderful people in the world.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Wow, the Christmas gifts that you must have received.
Celebrities don't send Christmas gifts.
Oh, bastards.
One of them sent. Rene Russo presented me with an exquisite cashmere scarf that I have today.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Beth,
I love that.
What's been your most embarrassing moment?
Wow. In the industry or in my whole life?
Whichever.
In my whole life, in the 9th grade, I was at the board doing an algebraic equation, and thank God I had on gym shorts, but my wrap skirt fell to the floor.
That's a good one. Now the industry.
In the industry, I had a woman who her last name is very famous because, and she's beautiful.
Who was
She, she's sitting in the chair. I'm doing her retouch, and a new client comes in. I greet her, and as Chris knows, I had the upstairs where you would enter, and the downstairs where you were either in design or color. It was very private. So I brought this other woman down, and she says, "Is that Jill? Blah 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 blah." And she said, I said, "Yes, it is." And she goes, "I will not sit with her. She's fucking my husband." No, I wanted to, but in this, I mean, come on.
That's a good one, Chris.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, but it's happened. It's happened to you guys too. Come on.
Of course. Oh my God. Of course. Yeah. I mean, sure. And I now want to open this up to everyone in the room. And if there's any questions that you may have, go ahead and type in some of the questions. Cassie, I would allow your voice, as angelic as it is, to come in and share with us any questions that we can share with Beth right now for anyone out there.
Definitely. We have one that just came in. What haircut would you love to make a comeback, and how would you reinvent it for the 2020s? And that's from Andy.
I think the very incredible, which Vidal Sassoon reignited, the Louise Brooks bob, which is shorter in the back, longer in the front. I think it can be pruned into a little bit, but it must be part. It has a fringe. I think the fringe should be more on an angle, longer toward the sides. And I think it has to be accented with what I call, and you've come to my classes, it's called color shots. A deep base or a mid base of color with very interesting slice, skip, slights, diagonal, and zigzag highlightings in it to really make the lines sing. Good question. Thank you.
Yeah, very good question. Thank you. Another one, how would you explain the most beautiful red, and how to achieve that? Is it a balance? Is it, your warm and your cool balance when you're achieving someone like Julianne Moore, let's say, or that red?
Okay, or Patricia Fields. Okay, here's what you have to do. The most beautiful red is not just the color on the person. The most beautiful red is the color that will accent her skin and eye color. You're either a pheomelon or a eumelon in person. So if you have cool pigment, you have ivory skin, you have porcelain skin, you have olive skin or black skin, you might be able to create a very cool cherry, very, very Richter scale, red shade or cool red. If somebody has, they say when they go to the beach, they get a very bad burn no matter what they wear. They have green eyes or brown eyes or green eyes with orange flecks. Those people would be the most beautiful red with copper, which is an orangey golden red. The more women with dark circles under the eyes or less perfect complexions do not do themselves a service with burgundy hair. Kabunga. No. And I don't think you should go lighter as you get older. I think you should get softer. And a lot of that's done not at the scalp, but the zigzag highlightings or color shots that I put into the hair, which when you come to my classes, we do that a lot. This is so much fun, but if I could show you, let's see. But I remember the root of the hair, that first inch to inch and a half that grows out of the scalp is, as you know, Chris, when I was at Redken, I named that Zone 1. Mm-hmm. Zone 1 is privy to the heat of the scalp. It's not fully keratinized, and it wants to be light and bright. Zones 2 and 3, further away from the root, resist being red. So you have to teach that. You have to create that hair like you've had one head of hair on the root and another on the hair lens. That's it.
Very nice. Thank you. And then you're speaking of classes, Beth. maybe we can get that information from you to share on our page as to how anyone may be able to attend those classes if they'd like to.
I love it. I plan to be teaching in South Carolina, in Boston, in Florida, and in Texas. But until the all clear on travel, I'm teaching online. If you'd like, I have two things, but I have an Instagram, Beth Minardi Hair Color, Beth Minardi Hair Color Instagram. And I'm going to go there tomorrow night at 9. But at 8, I'm going on my Facebook group, which is called Conversations with Top Color Professionals by Beth Minardi. Conversations with Top Color Professionals by Beth Minardi. It's free. I have people from all over the world, and I will explain every time I'm doing a class or an event, I will post it. My dear friend Max and I are going to start doing swipe your credit card and get very, very user-friendly, lower-priced educational opportunities that are 15 minutes long. But because I was a teacher, there is a behavioral objective attached to each of these. At the end of 15 minutes, you will have learned bup, 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 bup. And you will be able to recite this via bup, 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 bup. So that might not be fun, but I'll make it fun. So Beth Minardi, a group Facebook page, as well as Beth Minardi Hair Color Instagram. Thank you.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, I'm very.
We'll
You know, guys, thanks, guys.
I'm glad
and I don't care.
that.
I don't care if you're 50 or 75. I don't care. Just join.
Great.
True.
Thank you.
I'm going to.
Beth, what would you say is the most important lesson that life has taught you?
Trust, yet verify.
That's an interesting answer.
Wow.
Yeah. And like the Beatles said, love is all there is.
Yeah. And I think especially in today's world, that's more evident than ever. It's, you know, it's so students hang on in there because you will get everything that you deserve, but take this time during lockdown, regardless of where you are, and really get online, get learning, and really absorb that. And, you know, people like Beth, they could charge gazillions for their classes, but like Beth said, they're free. I mean, it's such a blessing. You've just got to take advantage of this time.
Well, Chris, what you and Joseph and Julie and everybody, or Cassie, doing is so wonderful, and it is no charge. And I wonder about the people who didn't want to tune in today, because maybe they've tuned into things that were really crappy. I'm talking crappy. I'm talking about people teaching color that I need to go in the bathroom and barf. I'm watching people in the name of Jesus Christ in heaven. So, I mean, there are some wonderful teachers. Vivian's one of them. You are one of them. David Stanko. There are my dear friend Charlotte, my dear friend Buddy, my dear friends Eric and Leah. They're killers. They're killer colorists. If they're going to follow somebody, ask yourself and ask them, have they ever done hair in a beauty salon?
Yep. And Beth.
Not just Instagram, a billion followers, and they go to teach in a salon and say, I've never really used this. What do I do? That makes me sick. Bullshit people who lie make me sick. People who say look, I've been doing this since I was 20. I started beauty school. I was 22. I was in grad school. I had a degree. I was teaching children, and I went to beauty school at night. My father went banana. It wasn't a happy thing. I do believe there are people in this with passion. If you want to do this, you can. You know, a company years ago said, hey, do you want to meet movie stars and do this? But they didn't say, do you want to not go to the bathroom? Do you want to skip lunch? Do you want to stand there for hours? Because you know what? You can do that, and you can also be really, really successful. And I love we need these new people coming into the business. We need them.
And you know, you mentioned someone that I find is really fascinating, cool, amazing dresser, equally as creatively color knowledge as both you and Chris. And this David Stanko character is next Monday on iConixxx.
Yay, David. I love, he and I are both from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yay, David. How about that?
Well, I want you to, if you had to say one thing about David that would draw the crowd into next week, Monday, what do you think that you could say that could just kind of give him a little billboard?
Expert.
Yes.
Inspiring, fun, committed, and smart as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would ditto all of that. And also, he has the most wicked sense of humor ever.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
Yeah, talk about a man with charisma. He has it. He's an absolute joy to listen to.
Oh my God, look at that.
What?
There he is.
David, hi, honey.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Hi,
Yeah.
David.
Oh my gosh, I don't know who to marry first. Beth or Chris or Joseph, or maybe it's Mary.
Maybe all three.
Phil.
Maybe all three of us.
Oh.
We could be what they call what? Bigamous, trigamous. I don't know. But David, I love you, and I know you're like I am here in the city. You're in quarantine. I love you so much, babe.
I know, I just tried to call you earlier to touch base.
But call me on my phone. I'm not good with that going to this shit and that shit. Just call me, honey.
Well, I want to say that
Fuck you very, Mary, my what?
This moment that's happening right now, Chris Sorby, do you know what? I think that, once we've gone through, these interviews, wouldn't this be a great room to put together?
Of course.
The four of us? Oh my freaking Lord.
Oh, honey,
Yeah.
we could talk. David and I, get it. Yeah, babe. Yeah, and you guys, Chris, Joseph, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beth Minardi, for joining us on this iConixxx. And you said it in the beginning, it's very important for these students to continue to research who you all are, because it's what's made this industry. And right now, our friend Chris Barron has many times said to me that, the YouTube influencers could be sort of diluted after this whole process. And I think this time in our lives is when we all come back. And
you know what I think is with David and with me, if I share a technique or a formula, it's because of one thing. I didn't do it once. I didn't think about it. I did it many times, as David has. Let's cut the crap and the bullshit. Now, if because I'm in my very late 30s, a lot of kids don't want to listen to me, but you know what? Fuck them. Because you know why? I don't want to hurt their feelings. I want to help them. David does. So many of us do. And you know what? The woman who was really one of my mentors was when I was a teenager, and she was in her 50s. She was my riding teacher. She was not an easy chick. She was wonderful. And she said, don't ever look at a fence. Look over it. Don't ever stop, and don't you ever let the way you're feeling right now stop you from being successful.
I want to end it on that right there, Miss.
Joseph, Chris, David, love you so much.
Love you, David Stanko.
Love you too.
And I love
David,
all our
we'll
viewers.
see you next week, right? All right. Beth, David, peace. Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Chris, God bless you.
Love
Honey.
you.
Love you.
my
Stay in
darling.
touch. I'll help you with anything, guys. Bye.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
Thank you
you
so much, Beth.